I said Shedeur Sanders does not fit culturally with Nashville, Tennessee at this current moment. And Titan fans just went off. They said, bruh, what are you talking about? Culture fit. What are you talking about? This dude doesn't know anything about football. This dude doesn't know anything. Look, you can get mad at me all you want, but I'm going to tell you the truth. When I go to Nashville, I look at this city and say, this would be a great place to raise a family. You know, Nashville is popping, and I wish we could have honest conversations in this country like we used to, but because of things, we can't be real. The truth of the matter is Nashville caters to country music. It's the country music capital. I'm being generous with my words. I really could use some more blunt colors, but I'll just use country music. Nashville doesn't cater to rap, to hip hop. Have you ever seen Shedeur Sanders? He's culture. He raps. Like, y'all forgot about that. He raps. He loves a lot of expensive jewelry. That's not the scene in Nashville. A lot of money is happening, but I guarantee you, when you're downtown, you feel a shift when you're on one street of bars versus the next street of the bars. It just is what it is. You can get mad. You know I'm telling the truth, though. So let's translate it over. I've seen randomly Cam Ward name start to rise as #1 on Mel Kiper's draft and other people's drafts. Have you ever thought to ask yourself, why is that happening all of a sudden? Like, Cam Ward played a half of football in his bowl game for Miami. Shedeur at least played the whole game. You're telling me Cam in like a half of football looked better than Shedeur did? All year, all we saw was Shedeur being known as the #1 prospect, not just from fans, because we know he's got a big fan base, but from NFL draft experts. And then all of a sudden, since the end of the season, Cam Ward has risen to #1 on mock drafts. Why is that so? I'll tell you why I believe it's so. Because the feeling out of Tennessee is that Shedeur doesn't want to play for their team. And they are doing themselves a service by saving themselves the embarrassment of Shedeur and dad, Dion, coming out and saying, my kid ain't playing football for yo. I don't know. Yo, he's pretty much said, yo, there are certain teams that my son won't play for. He never said them by name, but the Tennessee Titans have been poorly ran, okay? So, no, Shedeur hadn't come out and say he ain't playing for Nashville. Could Shedeur figure it out if he were a Titan? I think it's possible, but is it the best scenario for a young man that's already made a lot of money in NIL, I believe signed to Nike with his dad? Like, he can do a lot of different things. If Eli Manning had leverage like 15, 20 years ago, you're telling me Shedeur with his dad doesn't have leverage? And by the way, speaking of dad, Dion, I'm sure, is thinking as a father, but also in the back of his mind as a coach. There is a chance that Dion Sanders becomes the head coach in the foreseeable future of the team his son is playing on. Be clear, and it'll be much easier to get Shiloh to wherever Shedeur is playing for versus the opposite, Shedeur to Shiloh, which Dion has put it out there that he wants to coach his boys in the NFL if that opportunity makes sense and presents itself. I don't know if Dion's a culture fit with Nashville. I don't know this. Dion is a Christian black man to the utmost who uses motivational speeches to motivate people, right? Nashville is a country music scene. I'm not saying these things they can't parallel and can't work together. I'm sure they can. I was somebody that advocated for Vanderbilt to go get Dion. What I'm saying is it a 1-to-1 when there's a franchise like Las Vegas out there? Vegas makes more sense for that brand. It just does. And if you have leverage, people with leverage use leverage. Like, the Tennessee Titans want me to ignore how poorly of a franchise they've been over the last decade. It's been a minute. Like, they had success with Derrick Henry. They had a couple of good years with Tannehill. I mean, since then, it's been pretty bad. It's been pretty freaking bad. You want to know what's crazy about the Titans? Nobody should be thanking Saquon Barkley more than the Tennessee Titans. Saquon Barkley's historically great season with the Philadelphia Eagles after leaving the New York Giants has taken all of the heat off of what just happened with Derrick Henry, who also left as a premier running back from Tennessee to go to a new team. He went to Baltimore. Derrick Henry had over 1,900 yards and 16 touchdowns this year. That was 800 yards better than his last season in Tennessee. More touchdowns than his last season in Tennessee. He had 12. No one's even talking about how bad of a blunder it was for Tennessee to lose their premier running back because Saquon had an MVP level year, historic level running back season, because the Giants are a bigger franchise, because the Giants were on Hard Knock, and we got the quote of the owner said, I don't want Saquon going. But the Tennessee Titans had a huge blunder letting Derrick Henry walk just like the Giants did with Saquon. But no one's talking about that. So they got grace there. Dion is watching how you fire the general managers after a short stint. Dion is watching the rumors about the coach potentially being out of the door. Dion is watching how that same community that I just bragged about in Nashville, where I just told y'all me and my wife may consider raising a family at down the line because it's family friendly. I got to be real about that. That same Nashville scene that's loving the success of their new country music renaissance. By the way, the Titans can't figure that team out in that community. And Dion is watching that. Right? The place where I said me and my wife would love to start a family at, y'all still can't figure out football at all. And you could get mad. I'm just telling you what it is. The fan in you is going to say, you don't know what you're talking about, but then you're going to think about it. The realization of, if you look at some of the things that Shedeur is into, it doesn't fit with Nashville. I and my wife could go to Nashville and have a family. You want to know what? On Sundays, I'm not judged by how I throw a football. On Saturday nights, what I do at a club doesn't matter. Knock on wood, I can go get a DUI tomorrow. I'm not, but I'm saying I could, and nobody will care. You want to know if Shedeur gets a DUI? I don't even know if he drinks or not. I'm just saying it would be news, big time news in that area of Nashville. In Vegas, not so much. I'm just telling you, these things make for a lack of a cultural blend. And I want you to look at that draft board again. Why in the hell all of a sudden has Cam Ward surpassed Shedeur when Shedeur was number one all year on most mock drafts? I'm talking about from experts, not just random mock drafts. What has happened? I think this is the case of, if she don't love me, I don't love her. Remember when you were dating back in the day with somebody and the word got out that they didn't want you no more and they were about to break up with you, and you went and rushed it and you beat them to it and said, I don't want to be with you, so I was going to break up with you anyway. That's what's happening with the Titans and Shedeur Sanders. I think the word is out there that Shedeur don't want to play for that franchise. And before it comes off as Shedeur, this is the Titans, because that would be a bad look from a PR perspective. Shedeur, Dion saying nah to Nashville, that would be pretty deadly to a franchise that needs some coolness, that needs some energy in it. The Titans are getting ahead of it and saying, nah, we don't want him anyway. We're thinking Cam Ward. And what world has Cam Ward showed better than Shedeur at that quarterback position? And if I'm going to go to a city where the culture of the team is not the greatest fit, okay, obviously a lot of players are going to have to do that. But if you have leverage like Shedeur does, why would I also go to a franchise that's clearly not getting it right in the draft? Nashville can't sell me on being this very culturally inclusive city when that's not happening in free agency. That's not happening. Guys are not clamoring to go to a city that I just bragged about, that clearly has great dichotomies. But I'm saying, when you got the leverage of a Shedeur, you get to pick and choose your litter a little bit if you decide to, especially with saying, yo, the coach of this team, wherever team I go to in a couple years, is going to be my dad, most likely.